Bernie Sanders was asked during an NBC interview, does Zelensky need to resign in order for there to be a peace deal? And his answer reeks of hypocrisy, irony, and ignorance. Bernie Sanders says that is a horrific idea, even if that would achieve peace between Russia and Ukraine. He says it's because Zelensky is defending democracy and Vladimir Putin is an authoritarian dictator who invaded Ukraine. And the United States has to uphold its time-honored tradition of defending democracy for 250 years around the world.
Do you think that President Zelensky needs to resign in order for there to be a peace deal?
I think that is a horrific suggestion. Zelensky is leading a country trying to defend democracy against an authoritarian dictator, Putin, who invaded his country. And our job is to defend the 250-year tradition that we have of being the democratic leader of the world, not turn our backs.
Yes, once again, ladies and gentlemen, the guy who was cheated by the Democrats in the United States, not once, but twice, is saying that the United States has a tradition of defending democracy around the world. And that once again, somehow it's actually Putin who is a dictator, although he's never canceled elections and he actually listens to his legislature. And it's Zelensky who's defending democracy, even though he's canceled elections and has no plan to hold elections anytime in the future. But I want you all to pay attention to something. Do you think it's a coincidence that they keep marching Bernie out of all people to defend Zelensky, attack Putin, and condemn Putin's invasion of Ukraine? You see, the truth is, the last 10 years, Bernie has curated an anti-war personality that is as fake as the claim that the United States has spent 250 years defending democracies and not overthrowing them. And despite the fact that they cheated the man from winning, they keep putting Bernie out there because Bernie, the one who's curated this anti-war personality for the last 10 years, if he says that Russia's in the wrong, that he's only thinking about the people of Ukraine and that Putin is a dictator and Zelensky defending democracy, then other people will believe that that is actually the truth. But the truth is, Bernie Sanders has never been an anti-war activist. And he hasn't really seen a regime change that he hasn't liked, to be completely honest with you. So let's go ahead and check out why it's so ironic that Bernie Sanders has a problem with Russia defending its sovereignty, while he claims that Russia is only acting as a rampant, rabid imperialist trying to overthrow the world. In short, it's called projection. Some of you all may remember whenever Bernie Sanders tried to hit Hillary Clinton about the overthrow of Gaddafi and the disastrous state Libya was left in as a result of that. Well, Hillary Clinton had to promptly remind Bernie that he supported the United States going into Libya and conquering Gaddafi and supported a resolution for the UN to join the effort. And ironically, that was another NATO-led, NATO-backed coalition against the Libyan government. So if you find it kind of weird that you don't remember Bernie speaking that much about NATO being involved in Libya, despite the fact that he's so loud defending NATO powers pushing this war against Russia and Ukraine, that's because he didn't say anything and he actually supported NATO's efforts. And Bernie likes to pretend he never supported military intervention in Iraq, but in actuality, he did support U.S. intervention in Iraq. It's just that he only supported it under specific circumstances. And let's not forget, Bernie also supported going to war in Afghanistan, although he once again tried to pretend like he didn't. And Bernie supported the bombing of Kosovo. Almost any regime change effort that was backed by the United States or NATO, Bernie Sanders has supported. So let me ask you something, Bernie. Is it very democratic for the United States to go halfway across the world, or in some cases all the way across the world, to steal other people's resources, overthrow their governments without a vote, install their own governments, and then say that we're defending our democracy and our freedoms by doing so? Because if you believe all of that US intervention was justified, which it wasn't, why do you not believe Russia is justified in defending its sovereignties against NATO and its ally in their own backyard? Square that circle for me, Bernie. So no, the United States does not have a history of defending democracies across the world or engaging in democracy across the world for 250 years. It's been the exact opposite, and Bernie knows that. In fact, given the dictatorships and monarchies we support in Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and other areas, Putin would probably be backed and supported by the United States if he actually was a dictator. Let's be real about it. So all my anti-war people who think you're on the right side of history by supporting Ukraine, and you're looking at Bernie Sanders as inspiration for your support of Ukraine, the continuance of this war, don't let him fool you. He's just another pro-NATO talking piece who will say whatever NATO tells him to say, because that has been his career, ladies and gentlemen. Don't let him fool you. And it's also worth noting that in all the virtue signaling that Bernie has done, he is still yet to propose a resolution to any of these problems that will result in the end of the war, the end of the death, and the end of the destruction. It's just Putin bad, Zelensky great. Putin! Putin!
I think you did strategically because you knew it's what we'd ask.
Putin! He's so bad! And what does that solve? Not a damn thing. And that's the point.